Ottman.
Welcome. Do you know the difference between mediumship and psychic powers? Well, do we have the answers for you today? Welcome. My name's Heather, and welcome to All Things Energy. And we are going to hear the wonderful words from Paul Ottman. Welcome, Paul.
Good morning, Heather.
Good morning, Paul. Hi, I'm Dana, for all of you who don't know me. So welcome, Paul. We're so excited about the conversation today.
Good morning, Dana. I'm also very excited. It's always good to be with the two of you on a weekly basis and be able to talk about all things energy and spirit.
Yeah, I like that name, All Things Energy. I was trying to always encompass that, and I've used it for years, and it's just something that always came to me. But actually, titles to channels should only be one word. But anyway, we'll have to think about that later on.
It rolls off the tongue all right. It does. Yes.
All Things Energy. So do you have a card for us, Heather?
I do. And the one that jumped this morning was, and there was no more, just one, stepping into stillness. My power is born in the majesty of silence. Yeah. So
another relevant message based on our conversation last week about slowing down your monkey mind and learning to meditate and to be calm and still and listen to spirit for your answers and your guidance.
Yep. Fabulous.
I've been getting a whole whack of messages lately. It's been an inundation is what it feels like lately. I don't know, Paul, are you experiencing the same thing?
Well, it's interesting. I've been out of the loop for the last 2 weeks. And of course, Saturday we returned to reality, but it's ironic that my partner and I were having a conversation yesterday saying that we're totally removed from the world's activities and the news. And we thought maybe we should turn CNN on just to see what's transpired in the world in the last 13 days. And there's a lot happening. There's no doubt about it. Lots and lots of shifts in energy. You know, the fact that we've entered a different consciousness awareness and things are moving a lot faster. And there's a lot of things happening in this world.
So I'm of the mind of, I look at the mainstream news to actually find the other side of what I'm supposed to be looking at. So I kind of go to the mainstream to find the alternative. And then somewhere in the middle, there seems to be this interesting sort of knowing is what it feels like. So, and that's what I've been doing. I mean, I'm guided all the time to look here, there, or wherever, or to talk to certain people. So I think it's really important to really listen to what that quiet voice is saying to you. Exactly. And be still. You have to be still in order to hear it sometimes. Correct. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Yeah, the analogy I use is it's like raising children. There's always 3 sides to every story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Absolutely. And there is a truth. There really is a truth. And there is a right and there is a wrong. And you know, I know there's a lot of gray area too, because it's all about perspective. But honestly, there is something that is truthful and non-truthful. That's what I believe in anyway.
Yeah.
So
well,
today.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. We were kind of getting off topic. We were here to talk about psychics and mediumship. So I think that's probably where we should go, don't you think?
Of course, yes, of course. So Dana, you've worked as a psychic medium for a number of years, just as I have. And I'm sure you've heard this line before. Not all psychics are mediums, but all mediums are psychics.
Yes, I have heard that.
Yeah. And does that resonate for you?
Very accurate.
It is, isn't it? Right. So thinking about working as a medium, working as a psychic, or you and I both label ourselves as psychic mediums, right? So what does that mean to somebody who's out looking for the opportunity to connect and have a reading? So what are they actually supposed to be looking for? What are their questions they're hoping to get answered? And years ago, I asked Spirit too, and sort of got clarity as to what the difference was, because I was developing like you were, and in circle, in meditation, through different opportunities in community. And so psychics, if you think about it, they are really based on future, right? So people will go to a psychic and ask questions that are present, or future based, and they're looking for guidance, support, direction, or answers. Where mediumship, by definition, is really the connection to discarnate souls or to spirit guides and angels. And they're looking potentially to connect with people who have transitioned in understanding that they're okay, that life is continuous, what's happened to them, their loved ones, they're grieving, and they're trying to gain some perspective and some answers. So a psychic typically reads energy, as they call it, out of the solar plexus. So one of your chakras is your stomach, or your solar plexus, your gut instinct. And when you made a contract, your soul contract, to come to the earth plane and have an earthly existence, you set out a bunch of opportunities, I'll call them, things that you wanted to learn in this lifetime. And those formed what they call your Akashic records. So a psychic will touch in with your solar plexus and attach themselves or connect to your Akashic record and help you understand what it is that you're here to learn, what your path is about, the things you're supposed to experience. They'll provide you answers or guidance on some of your questions. I typically chuckle at this point because the top 3 questions, which I'm going to ask you later in all of your readings, if you've sort of summarized the 3 questions, typically people will always ask. So they're really trying to help guide you, futuristic. So mediums, interestingly enough, are reading your energy. So really around you. As we talked last week, they're clairvoyant, they're clairsentient, they're clairaudient. They hear, they see, and they sense. So they're watching your aura, they're reading everything around you, and they're getting information in one of those 3 forms. They're putting a story together. They've built their rapport with spirit, so they understand the communication that's coming through. They'll interpret that and give that to you. But mediums can actually go past, present, and future. So they can cover all 3 of those realms. And not to say that a psychic can't, because they can do a similar, but they're getting information a very different way. And typically thinking about, again, as a client wanting to have an experience, you have to be very clear about, okay, what are the questions? What am I hoping to gain from this experience? And then go and do your research. There's lots of psychics, there's lots of mediums, and there's lots of good ones. There are lots of great ones that have good intention and are doing this type of work to support people and help them on their journey, help them heal, help them understand that life is continuous, that even though they may not see their loved ones in front of them anymore, they're not that far away, right? Their energy has shifted into a different form and it's continuous. And there are people that maybe their intentions aren't the greatest. So you just want to do a little bit of research and understand truly what it is that you're going out there for and what you want to get from it, because mediums are really bridging that gap between physical existence and spiritual existence. Psychics are helping you guide through your journey in the life.
Your day to day.
That's right. So out of curiosity, Dana, in all the years that you've been practicing, and you're a well-respected psychic medium in Ontario, and I know it's been a few years since I've left Ontario, but I still hear that you've got a great clientele and you're extremely well respected. What are the top questions that you typically hear from your clients when they come to see you?
So they tend to come in classes. So there's certain a class that will come to me, and it'll be about relationship, career, top 3. There's usually 4 is kind of the where I go, but it's relationships, it's career. Love is first always. And then you've got family and, sometimes it's just day-to-day stuff and wanting to see people or feel people from the other side. If anybody's ever asking a question, they're always like, oh, is, so-and-so coming in? And, unfortunately, it's not like picking up a phone and going, hey, are you there? Can you come and have a visit with us? It doesn't work. But I always say, go ahead about a week before a reading. If there's somebody that you want to talk to or somebody that you want to have a conversation with, let them know when your appointment is. Let them know that you're going to be here and bring them with you in the car. Quite often I see people who do that and they actually have somebody standing with them to come on in for the appointment. And I always have 2 chairs. And most of the time, the other one is empty for the person who's coming to sit with them. It's very interesting how it works out. And then the other ones are more, I need to connect to my spirit. I need to connect to my spirit. They come and they know there's this void that's going on, and it's one thing. When they really want to do a soul journey, it's one thing. It's not about the relationships and that's all kind of taken care of. They just want to open up their soul. So that's sort of been my experience.
Yeah, it's very true, because the top three questions I would always get were love or relationship related. Typically financial was the next one, right?
Career.
Career, finances, money, and sort of, what's next?
Will I win the lottery?
Yeah. I used to love that one the most, because people would say to me, well, can you give me the winning lottery numbers? And I would look at them and smile and say, if I could do that, I would not be sitting here reading for you right
I think
now.
we can do that. I honestly believe, Paul, that we can do that. And the problem is, and this gets a little bit covert, but I actually believe that if we go ahead and pick the lottery numbers, we go and put them into a machine. The machine is computerized. It knows what numbers we've picked, and it also knows what numbers have not been picked. So we're better off to just do it without actually playing the lottery. Don't go and buy a ticket, but actually predict the numbers. I bet you any money we'd be able to do it.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting exercise for people who are wanting to develop. So we talked a little bit, again, we're getting a bit off track, but talked about meditation, right? And learning to calm down. So if you actually want to practice, that's actually a really good way to do it, is write the numbers down. 649 this week, here are the numbers, to test your accuracy in meditation. Or another one would be to take a deck of cards and face down, right? And hold your hand over one and go, okay, is this red or black? And put it in a pile. And then test your accuracy as you're meditating and learning to develop your senses at that point in time.
And every single person can do that. I run a little reel where you can predict it. It's a psychic ESP practice, and it takes 20 seconds. And if you do it every day, you will strengthen the muscle.
Yep, exactly. And that's exactly right. Sort of curiosity, Dana, thinking about psychics and medium and acceptance in society. How do you find clientele and or overall general acceptance when you talk about being a medium and or being a psychic or a psychic medium?
Well, either they spin out of their skin trying to get away from me, or they're on me like white on rice. So it sort of has this. I've had a couple of people come up to me and say, "You work with the," and I'm not even going to say it, but of course I do not. And this is, this is the learning of it. Heather, what do you think? Do you have, like, when people know that you're spiritual and that you're looking at all of this and training and doing exercises, do you tell a lot of people that you do this?
Actually, I've not told a lot of people through my practice. It was an amazing response to when I was looking for people to give free readings to. And I filled up my prerequisite rather quickly. And those people were just filled with gratitude and appreciation and happiness.
And open to the conversation.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I really haven't, because I'm in a very small country town.
Exactly.
So I don't think I would really share around where I live. Outside of that, I just know it would be more acceptable, or I'd be okay to receive people not feeling comfortable with it. So that's okay. But
Well, I can tell you that I don't offer up the information. I don't walk up and go, "Oh, I'm a psychic. Hello." It's, if they ask me what I do, I kind of look at them and go, well, so even I feel hesitation telling people sometimes what I do, because if it warrants a conversation that I don't really feel like having at the time or what have you, but anyway, so yeah, I don't know. What's your experience, Paul?
So it's interesting, I would say, over the last decade, how things have changed. And you think about the number of mediumship-based TV shows, right? So the sensationalism around mediumship from that Hollywood perspective, I'll call it, has really, I think, changed society or changed perception. But what I've noticed, interestingly enough, because people will, say something and I'll say, well, I'm a psychic medium. And they'll say, well, what does that mean? And what I find is interesting is that mediumship is actually fairly well respected and received in society. And I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. But you think about it, a perfect stranger, as an example, right? A perfect stranger comes to you for a reading, never met them before, don't know who they are. I only ever asked for their first name. I didn't want to know anything else, right? They arrived similar to you. I had a setup and I would begin and, I would do evidential mediumship, right? And I would talk to them about an individual who's there or whatever's happening and give them very specific details, name, all kinds of stuff. Well, of course, it's going to be fairly well received or accepted because they're sitting in front of a perfect stranger who's talking to them about stuff that other people may or may not know, right? So it's kind of like, okay, well, this is, pretty much acceptable or approved because how did you do that, right? Where a psychic, think about it, they're talking to somebody about your life plan, your journey in life, the fact that, you're supposed to accomplish these 3 things, you might be a little bit off track. And they may or may not come to fruition in a timeline simply because, God, the God of our understanding, made us with something called free will and an ego. And that little, thing called ego, we tend to play that card a fair amount that changes our projection or our trajectory on our journey a fair amount. So when you think about it that way, psychics, yeah, you know what? They're giving you valid information from your soul's plan, your Akashic record. And you may or may not choose to exercise against it in this lifetime, which just means, what, you didn't learn the lesson and you get to repeat it again at some point until you get to, finally go, wait a minute, I think, the hammer's hit me enough in the head. I need to learn this lesson.
Yeah, it takes me a little while to learn lessons sometimes, but I know you would think that I would have this great understanding, but when it comes to doing a reading and come to living your life, you try very hard to live in your integrity, but quite often you get it wrong too. About your own things, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there is anyway, so I'm okay with it. And I'm okay being wrong too, because I know I'm not always right. When I'm having a reading with somebody, I'm speaking out of my perception, my interpretation, and my relevance to the vision that I'm seeing. It's how I relate to it. So that's where it kind of can maybe get a little bit, not exactly precise. But when you start giving details, especially when you're describing how people look from big ears to bad teeth to, so, and then you start kind of listing off all of these things and you're trying to describe who's coming in. What a wonderful sort of checklist that goes down the list, but I'm only going by what it is that I'm seeing. And
Exactly.
I have nothing else to go on. You're a stranger coming and sitting there in front of me. I don't have anything else to go on other than what I'm seeing in my mind's eye. And that's the thing. I believe psychics are kind of more remote viewers in a sense. I almost think that psychics will allow this remote view from time and space. And I think that's an interesting, especially if you're advanced, if you've been doing it for a long time and you practice it a lot and that kind of thing. I'd like to show people how to practice remote viewing. It's actually easier than you think. And it's kind of a cool thing. But mediumship is the communication with the data and the energy around us. And when we understand how to read the data that's coming towards us, it really does play out like a novel, and you can extend it.
Yep, exactly.
You can make it bigger, you can show more, and then you can, get a lot more detail. That's kind of how I work anyway.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
would something like that be like an evidential, if I'm saying that right, medium? Is there such a thing, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Heather, it's a good question in the sense that mediums are very evidential based, right? So they're giving factual information, right? And that's proof of existence, proof that life is continuous, right? So they're giving very clear details so that their client understands who you're connecting with, and that there is no doubt that, you know, I'm with your grandmother on your mother's side of the house, and it, you know, could be name, it could be all kinds of things. So as Dana was alluding to, you know, I call it the dictionary. So over time in training, you develop your dictionary with spirit. So as an example, for me, I'd have a client sitting across from me, like you right now, and as I look to your right side, that would be your feminine side of the house, and spirit would start to show me everybody from your mother's side of the house that wanted to come forward to talk to you that day. Just as if I'm looking now at your left side, I would begin to see your father's side of the house. And that was how spirit would tell me, you know, whose side of the house I'm with. And then they would start to stand back. So each generation would be farther back. And then I would know to be able to say to you, as I enter into your energy, I'm being made aware that your grandfather from your father's side of the house is with you today. And then I would go on to say, this is what he looks like. This is what he did on the earth plane. This is his name. And here's the message. Here's why he's with you today. Here's what he wants you to know.
Ah, beautiful. Wow. Very
And they come and touch you. If you can understand how to feel the touch of a spirit, if you can understand how to receive the impressions they're trying to download onto you when they come in for a visit, I kind of see them open a veil. It's like they just kind of take the veil and they open it and they watch us. It's almost like and you know, how do I prove that? How do I even say that to people? How do I convey that where they can understand that? But that's what I see them doing. And then they're connected to our energy. And I've said this 1,000 times to thousands of people. It's the same sort of experience where you pick up the phone and say, I was just thinking about you. And you get the cosmic call before you get the actual phone call. Well, you get that from spirit too. All of a sudden, you're thinking of somebody, and that means that they are absolutely in your energy and connected. So
Right.
open the connection.
Yeah. And that's interesting, Dana, because every medium or every psychic develops their rapport or their dictionary differently. And that was one of the questions I used to get all the time is, well, how do you do it? And there's all kinds of books, like everybody writes their experience, right? And they're great reads. But if you really truly want to invest the time and energy to develop, you have to figure out your own dictionary, right?
Very true.
My experience isn't going to be the same as yours or the same as Sylvia Brown's or all the other famous mediums, right? They've taken time to develop and understand their language and their dictionary, what they're seeing, what they're sensing, what they're hearing, and what it means from spirit. You know, you can read everybody's book that's out there and they're all wonderful. There's no doubt about it, but it's their experience, not yours. You have to develop your experience.
And know when the connection happens so the experience can unfold.
Correct. Very
Yes.
true.
Yeah. Wow. And especially for a newbie that's understanding, like I said before, that I've had abilities, but I just thought that was normal. You know what I mean? I was just right from a little child that, you know, things were happening. I thought, oh, that's normal. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, that's what it is. And so it's coming into this community, and by you, Paul, by you, Dana, I'm just learning so much more. And you know, I've been going to metaphysical shops and just delving in, getting books, getting cards, getting crystals. Just I just want to absorb as much of this as possible, because this is where I need to be. This is the journey that I need to be on. And yeah, so it's very exciting. And just to get answers so that I can move in I feel going in a positive, going on a positive journey of doing what I'm supposed to do. And like you said earlier, Paul, we come into this physical form in an agreement that we're supposed to do certain things and to go through life and its challenges and everything else. And those become our experiences. And I have paid attention to that for a number of years.
But how wonderful for you as a child, because we're all, like we talked about this, we're all born with the gift, but because circumstances and society, we sort of lose that connection. But isn't it wonderful for you as a child to have had that understanding and potential support around you that said, this is normal, this is acceptable, this is okay. And you had the support that nurtured it around you. and said, yeah, that's fine. Versus typically what I see happen are, kids have all these experiences and then parents are like, ooh, that's not right. Or, oh, honey, no, that's your imaginary friend. And then they begin to shut down, right? Because they're being told on the physical earth plane that, yeah, no, that's not acceptable, or that's not right. Or, but
You're not allowed to have an imagination.
yeah.
And I think imagination is a word that's done what it truly is a disservice, because imagination makes it fraudulent or fictional, or this is just something that is coming from you in your daydreaming, when in actuality, I think imagination is the connection that you have with the greater surroundings.
Yeah. And one of the key messages to this conversation, and something for people who have children to ponder and to remember, is that each child born to the earth plane comes with a unique gift.
Yes.
And as a parent, I'm not saying it's your responsibility, but as a parent, it's your opportunity to look at your child and go, this is their gift, and I'm going to embrace it and nurture it and support them through it. School is great. School provides children the opportunity to be exposed to multiple subjects, multiple disciplines, but not every child is good at math. Not every child is good at history. Not every child is good at whatever. But as a parent, if you can honestly look at your child and go, my child is born to be an artist. My child is born to be a musician. My child is good as an engineer. And then you love them and support them for the purpose they're born to the earth plane. It'll be an amazing experience for them, an absolutely amazing experience to be surrounded in that kind of unconditional love and acceptance.
Yeah. Paul, I'll just share with you, just a few years ago when I was a young child, that I remember so vividly. And the teachers, actually, many of them would squash my creativity. And they would squash and punish me for trying to bring joy to another classmate or to other students. Okay, yeah, I'd be acting out, but only to have fun.
Just to make everybody smile.
You were not coloring within the lines, Heather, and playing,
No, and
inside the sandbox.
Exactly, and that is definitely. And I still don't color within the lines, and I still don't park it within the lines.
And isn't that so funny? Because I'm somebody who is so adamant about being in the lines, and if I go out of the lines, then the picture's done. I don't even finish the picture at that point. So funny.
Yeah. Yes, that is. Yeah.
Well, that's very interesting. I think there's some really wonderful things about understanding what it is to be a psychic and a medium. I mean, it is an interesting job, wouldn't you say, Paul? I mean, it definitely, I don't know. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. Maybe I haven't. Of course I haven't, but it certainly feels like I have. Some stories just make me shake my head, and I'm like, really? Did that just happen?
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me, because it's for sure a journey. I never stop learning. Every time I interact with somebody, when I was doing professional readings, I learn something new every day. Every time I do it, it would be a new experience, something totally different. And I'd have to say to my guides, okay, what does this mean? What's this all about, right?
Tell me.
Yeah. And, there was the days where I'd pick up the phone and somebody would say, I want to book a reading, and it would start instantly, right? I'm like, oh, okay, I'll give you that right now. But I'm thinking to myself, no, you're booking a reading. So, it was great when my mother was still alive and she lived with me, because my mother became my assistant. So she answered the phone, she booked the readings. I would just look at my calendar for the day, and I'd have 10 people's first names and their phone numbers to be like, great, right? And like you, Dana, I'd be sitting there meditating before they come, and they'd all of a sudden start lining up at the door. And I'm like, okay, who are you with today? And which one are you with?
Quite often what I'll do is I'll actually predict their car before they pull into the driveway. I'll predict what they look like before they come in, just to kind of get exercised, right? I kind of open up the spectrums, and then they come and they stand there, and I'm like, oh, you didn't look like I thought thought you look like. And then all of a sudden, I'm like giving them a reading, and I know not to be thrown off by that, but when they show up and they don't look like the person I saw coming, then I know it's something else, right? And it's usually somebody who has come with them, usually from the other side at that point. And then I describe them as that. So and you kind of got to go with the flow, right? It is almost like a rhyme in a way, or you have to follow the rhythm, and you have to just be authentic with what it is that you're seeing and say what you see, even no matter how ridiculous it seems. You got to say it because you're getting it for a reason. So
and that's I always used to, well, out of respect, as you know, Dana, you have to have their sound of their voice to answer yes to the question, that they're open and ready for the reading. And as soon as you hear their voice, at least for me, I could pick the 10 people out that were standing in the living room the hour before they arrived with, other people, and go, hey, you 10, you're coming now into my reading room. You're with this person.
And it's funny, they show up early. The people from the other side show up early. I'm sitting there doing my hair, and then all of a sudden, hi, I'm George. And I'm like, hello?
Well, they're excited, right?
They are. You're early.
They've been waiting a long time to make this connection. There could be, joy. There could be very sensitive messages that they want to share, things that are unsaid and undone that they want to be able to correct. So their spirit's always excited. They're there. They show up. And, we talked about this earlier too, that they give off the information that needs to be shared at that point in time. And sometimes it can be difficult and sensitive to share, but it's there for a reason. So you give it off as you get it.
Wow. Look at this. This half an hour has gone so fast. Amazing conversations. Heather, do you have anything that you would like to close out with?
Yes, actually, I would. And Paul, once again, just, huge gratitude. And I feel such warmth. And again, a word today is appreciation for what you're sharing and what you're helping us with, and especially someone like myself. And I've been, not sure, but I'm feeling more steady and firm on my footing of going on this, and I'll say this journey, the spiritual understanding, and I love it, and I'm in much gratitude to you. Thank you so very much.
Hang out with psychics. Hang out with psychics, and you'll become psychic yourself.
Yeah.
It does help being surrounded in community by like-minded, for sure.
It really does. It really does. Paul, again, been a pleasure. Heather, love you. Thank you so much for all you do. You've been doing some amazing work behind the scenes. We have Dan tomorrow. Danny, sorry, we'll call him Danny. And we're talking about good and evil tomorrow. We talked earlier about the conversation and understanding good and evil, and why it even exists. I mean, there's something important to understand about it. Not that we're going to hang on the evil aspects of it. Obviously, we want to make sure that we understand what we're dealing with on both sides. So, let's have a conversation about it. That's exactly how I was thinking. And until tomorrow and next week, you'll be with us, of course, Paul.
Perfect. Yes.
Yes. On location in Saskatchewan.
Yes, we are back home to Saskatchewan or Saskatoon on Saturday. So back to a little bit of the normal weather and snow, apparently. So
it's been nice the last couple of days. It's been nice and warm.
Yeah.
Good.
Hey, ladies, as always, pleasure. Thank you very much. Be well.
You're very welcome. Like and subscribe, and join us live every morning at 9:00. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
I'm still here.